Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesdays. We're very glad you're with us. It's May 11th, 2021. For those people on Zoom, please, if you have any questions, as soon as you think about them, just put them in the chat box. And that way, when our speaker takes a break, we'll be able to get those questions answered for you. For those people watching on Facebook, please just enter your questions into the comment field. I am monitoring that feed, and I'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Please note, this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your name, comment, and picture to appear. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called Career DFW to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area by putting everything you needed to know about your job search in one place. In 2012, I launched CareerUSA.org to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It's available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s, and I'll tell you about our upcoming programming this Friday at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, which is also known as the PIT crew, a great way to practice your interviewing skills. And if you have any questions about that, please just reach out to me and I'll be glad to get you the details. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who rotate on a weekly basis to talk about LinkedIn. And the reason that we did this is because everybody talks about LinkedIn from a little bit different perspective and a little bit different angle. And it's just great to hear sort of a different perspective on, how they use LinkedIn. So this week, our speaker is VandeMotter. He's an executive recruiter at Linked Executive Search. And he's going to talk about how he uses LinkedIn as a retained recruiter. So Kurt, thank you very much for being with us, and it's all yours.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for all that you do for our community and people that are joining us from all over the country. I see a lot of names in a lot of different cities. So thank you for joining us today. The first thing that I want to talk about, Jeff, is the fact that this is really about you all that are on the call today, meaning that if you've got any questions, if you've got anything that's on your mind and you've always wanted to ask a recruiter, this is a great time for you to launch that question into that question box. And it's not about me. I'm here because I hopefully can share a nibble, something for everybody that they might take away from this meeting and be able to go proactively, just make them feel better about themselves, or maybe do something that is different than they've done in the past. And that's what I'm here for. Is it's all about you, not me. A little bit about my background, though, so that you know where I come from every day, because I sit on a different side of the tracks. Is I'm a retained search executive, and I've been in the business for over 16 years. I came out of corporate America as a hiring manager and sales operations and marketing, not as an HR executive. And I came out of brands like Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, AT&T, and other big brands. And so what we want to talk about today is LinkedIn Recruiter. And so everybody's familiar with LinkedIn. If I went back into my past, and I was sitting in a meeting with my dear friend, rest in peace, Dennis O'Hagan, and he would say, does everybody know about LinkedIn? And only half the room would say that they were familiar with LinkedIn. And I don't think that we have to go there today. I think that everybody that's on this call is very familiar with LinkedIn. And so what I want to do today, though, is to share with you an insight, and I will do a shared screen here in a second. But what I want to do is share with you from what a recruiter looks like as they look at LinkedIn. And so I mentioned that I'm a retained search executive, which means that companies hire me to fill hard to fill jobs. So there are a lot of different types of recruiters, and I think it's important to differentiate those. That's probably one thing that we don't talk about enough. But in today's market, one of the things that you need to know is who your audience is. So as a candidate, if you get a phone call and the other person at the other end of the line says, I'm a recruiter with AT&T, and our heart starts beating and the phone rang and I'm so excited. I can't wait to and tell them everything about me and all the things I've done. And the phone hasn't rang in so long and it's not a solicitor and blah, blah, blah. So we get all excited. But what I want you to just put in the back of your mind is that sometime in that conversation, what you want to try to figure out is, what kind of recruiter is this? Is this an internal recruiter? Is this a recruiter from AT&T? That they are paid by AT&T, so they're an internal recruiter filling a job for them? Or are they an external recruiter? And in that case, you can always ask, what kind of recruiter are you? Are you a contingent recruiter or are you a retained recruiter? And the difference is that a contingent recruiter is going to be presenting candidates as they find candidates that are a good fit for the role, but they don't get paid anything up front and they don't get paid anything until they find or bring the right candidate to the table, okay? A retained search executive, I get paid up front some money as a retainer, and then I'm exclusive, so I'm not competing against anybody else. Many contingent recruiters will do the work for a company, but there may be 2 or 3 other recruiters that are doing that same work. So mine is exclusive, retained is exclusive. Contingent is typically not exclusive. It can be, but typically not. And then internal recruiters work for the company. And again, it's important for you to know so that you can understand what the pecking order is and how do you communicate with that person. You might say, well, I'd communicate the same with everybody, but in fact, you really have different strategies as you talk to each of those types of recruiters, depending on the role and so forth. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about LinkedIn Recruiter. And so LinkedIn and Recruiter. So LinkedIn developed a product a number of years ago that's called LinkedIn Recruiter. And it's a product that they sell and market to recruiters to use as a search tool. And what they did is they built that product on top of LinkedIn. So if you've got the box of LinkedIn, they built LinkedIn Recruiter on top of LinkedIn with a separate set of APIs. So there's a wall between the two, meaning that, and I bring this up front to everybody so that there's no misunderstanding, that when I'm using the LinkedIn Recruiter product and I go and look at a candidate, that candidate cannot see, they have no visibility that I'm looking at their background. I don't show up anywhere on their radar. And that's designed by, I say it's designed for a reason. And that is that if they ever change that, they'll probably lose 95% of their business immediately, because I look at sometimes 50, 60, 70 profiles a day. And so if I had 70 people calling me every time I looked at their profile saying, hey, I looked at my profile, what are you looking at? What are you doing? How can I help you? I'd never get anything done. And so again, I want to make it completely that I don't show up as a recruiter and I'm blind. I'm completely invisible to you as a candidate, okay? So let's go to, I guess I better bring up what I want to look at first, right, Jeff? Any questions, Jeff, right away while we got everybody?
No questions yet.
Quiet. Jeff, is it raining where you're at today?
It is pouring like crazy right now.
Yeah, it is here too. I'm near downtown. It's coming down big time. Okay. If anybody can think of a question, hold on. I just sent.
Yeah, Nathan asked, can you give an example of how you would communicate differently with the different recruiters?
Yeah, great question. So, hold on. So with an internal recruiter, you're going to know that, that person is working for the company and knows the hiring manager and is connected to the company. They've got no alternative motive in the sense of they're not going to get paid any differently if, in what they do, versus a contingent recruiter may be a little bit more on fire and may not take the time to get to know you 100%. So there's a lot of different communication. So as you talk to an internal recruiter, you got confidence you're dealing with maybe not the decision maker, but you're really close to the decision maker. You may not want to be as open. That would be a good example. You may not want to be as fluid with every detail about what's going on in your life because you're actually talking to the hiring manager right now. Where you're talking to a recruiter, you can take the time to say, hey, okay, this is all great. And I think I'm a great fit. And I've got a lot of the, experience of what they're looking for. But can we go off record for a minute? Because I've got a couple of other questions about the culture of that company. I've heard mixed opinions. That hiring manager, I don't know that I'm going to be a good fit because I know a lot of people that have worked for that person in the past. So it could be any range of kinds of conversations. It may be, you want to at that point just share an open, share a fact that, my wife is 6 months pregnant. I know that doesn't have anything to do with the process right now, but something like that. So you with an external recruiter, you might open up a little bit more and share a little bit more information about what's going on in your life and so forth, ask different questions than you would an internal recruiter. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, so let's come back to my Zoom screen here. Here we go. And share screen. And we're going over to, well, where did it go? I just had it open. Hang on a second, guys. Where did it go? Here we go. Okay. Okay, so this is my dashboard of what I look at when I'm looking at LinkedIn Recruiter. Okay, so let's use a real example. I'm going to put an advertisement out there. I'm actively looking for an inside sales manager in Houston, Texas. I'm looking for somebody that has managed people, has inside sales experience, and they understand the process, how to coach, how to mentor. Inside sales is very different than outside sales. So I'm throwing that out as a broadcast. If any of you have anybody, friends, contacts, anybody in Houston that meets that skills or requirements and is actively looking or may know other people in Houston, I'd love that introduction. So that's all the advertisement that I'm going to give you. But here's, so let's just go through a search. So let's use that as a search that I'm looking for. So first of all, I want to share with you again, this is my dashboard. So you've got spotlights. I can search for job titles. I can look at locations. Are they willing, as a candidate, willing to open work remotely? I can search for skills, company names, where you went to school, years weighted, industries that somebody might work in, keywords. That's a really key feature of this product. I can select employment type, full-time, part-time, contract work. I can search for just those people that are most connected to me. So my first contact, second, third. I can search by first name, last name, and then I can go in and do all kinds of other stuff as it relates to this. And I'm not using my finger, but I should. I mean, as far as, education, fields of study, It may not be as relevant in a lot of searches, but if I was doing a biological lab director, VP, somebody in that kind of space, then, some of these other fields that might not be as important to me would become very, very important. Okay. So you can see all the different things that we can search for, which adds up to hundreds of things. And the combination is literally thousands. So pretty cool stuff. But let's start at the top, Jeff, and look at spotlights. Okay. And this is my entire network. So 750 million plus candidates is what I'm connected to. And if you look at the spotlights, these are the people open to work. Those are the people that have gone in and self-selected in LinkedIn that they are open to or willing to work. And then, are you more likely to respond? These are buttons so people that I can click on, okay? So I literally can select that I want to see and only see people that are open to work or are more likely to respond. Those of you that haven't heard this in the past, LinkedIn tracks you as a candidate, and they track you whether or not you are replying to people's messages. So if you're not replying to people today when they send you an email and you just slough it off, I highly encourage you to go in and just say, thanks, not interested. Hey, that's a great opportunity. I'll pass it on. Don't know anybody. It can be as short as no or yes, but I encourage you to use this as an opportunity to build your brand and to not be too curt. If you've got time, send them a reply back. This isn't something that I'm interested in, but I'll certainly keep my network open. And we as recruiters, we love, especially when you're replying to recruiters, we love to have that active network, the people that want to engage in our brand and want to engage in our conversations. Then it goes to past applicants. These are people that have applied for jobs that I've posted on LinkedIn in the past. Engage with my talent brand. These are people that are engaged. They're following me on LinkedIn and they're engaged and know what's going on. And then 16,000 have company connections. So that can be in a lot of different ways. But these two buttons are the ones that recruiters select most often. But if let's say they have exhausted all of their network and they're trying to figure out, maybe some new doors to open, then they may close these and go to one of the others and see if they can get a different mix of candidates. Okay. So the next thing I'm looking for is current or past, but I can select current. I can select past, not current, or I can select past. So a lot of different variables there. In this case, I want to try to build a big funnel. So I'm looking for a lot of people. And I said that I was looking for an inside sales manager. So it gives me the ability to type that in and I can go, okay, well, there's a lot here. Inside sales manager, that's one of them. But then inside, they should just start all populating here. Inside sales account manager, that would be okay. Inside, well, maybe somebody that's an inside sales representative or specialist. Maybe they're ready to be a manager. Maybe they've been in that job for a while. So I'm casting a pretty big net here, okay, to see if I can find more people. Okay, so I got a lot of people, but now I'm going to narrow it down big time because this company's not going to relocate somebody. And so I need somebody in Houston. And for right now, I'm just going to go to the greater Houston area, okay, which, I could go by, areas that are close to or, but in this particular case, I want to keep it broad. I'm trying to build a big funnel, okay? I don't really have any concerns about companies, schools, years of graduation. They would like somebody that graduated from college, but I'm going to leave that out because, again, I don't want to leave anything out. And I'm going to keep it pretty wide open. So didn't add a lot of filters. There's 1,600 people in the Houston market that profess themselves as having these kinds of skills. So I go search. Now you get to see what I get to start to see. And as I search, now I can start to see that, okay, here's Maria. Now, why is Maria at the very top? In this particular case, it's because she checked all the boxes. I don't know, Jeff, if somebody else has provided any greater insight into the current algorithms of how you get on the first page versus the second page. Have you gotten any input from anybody on that?
No, the LinkedIn algorithms are a mystery to all who are not LinkedIn employees.
That's okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't leaving something out that was really important or a tool that would help you move to the top of the list. But okay, so I'm a recruiter. I do a lot of my own research myself. And so it's not uncommon for me to sit in my office for a couple of hours an afternoon and just go through candidates. The company that I'm working for is more in the industrial space. So as I start to look through here, I see newspapers. See where this gal is newspapers. He's staffing and recruiting, okay? Health and wellness, fitness, leisure, okay? I'm starting to go, okay, those kinds of backgrounds aren't gonna be as good a fit. So let's get this out of the way and go into industries and go into plastics. Let's go into metal. See what we get, mining and metals. Let's go into steel. See if we get any. Yeah, that's no. Let's go into because they sell a lot of their product to contractors. So let's do contractors. Let's do buildings instead. Building supplies. See if something comes up. Building materials. Okay. Now we've gotten, these are people that have identified in their background where Will Bell is an inside sales specialist. He's in plastics, okay? 2 years of sales specialist experience, inside sales experience, boom, 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 okay? He's open to work, okay? So you can already see that he's in one project, which is the company that I'm working for, and I've already sent him 2 messages, but he and I haven't connected yet, okay? So there's only 60 people here, right? So I've taken that 1.6, 1,600 people down to 60 people. So chances are, as I go through this, y'all, I know every one of these people because I've looked at their background and I've figured out whether it's somebody that I want to talk to or not. Okay, so there's not going to be a lot of candidates that I haven't already talked to, and the difference is that. So again, we're dealing with live information here. I just express the confidentiality of that in case I'm clicking on a cousin of somebody's. But here's a gal. And there's nothing wrong with Rose at all. She's got a picture on there. Demonstrates that she's got energy. She's got a strong summary section. She's given me her contact information. This is absolutely a differentiator, y'all. And I mean that by being a differentiator, that if you are a candidate that is actively looking for a job, I only have 2 options. When I am using this product, I can go here and look through Rose and say, Rose is somebody I want to talk to after I've looked through it. And I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to dial 832-265, boom, boom, boom. Okay. I can call her directly. Okay. She's given me all that information. The alternative is that if I don't have that contact information, the only alternative is to go up here and send Rose an in-mail message, okay? Now I have all kinds of templates that I can put in that make it really easy. So when I get to go to sending messages to people, I can select a template. It self-populates. I just go in here and change to Rose, and then I hit send, boom, boom. So I can send messages really quickly to a lot of people, okay? But the key is that I don't have to send a message to Rose because I can call her directly or I can send an email to her directly, okay? But for this particular role, she's an inside sales specialist. She did that in the real estate industry. She's a realtor. She worked in the petroleum inside, outside fuel sales for a little bit. But what I'm not seeing is I'm not seeing that she was a manager. I'm not seeing that she managed people, that she was a leader, that she actually held the title of inside sales manager. And so for those kinds of reasons, I might not select Rose as somebody that I want to talk to, and I'm going to go on to the next one. Okay. Now, let's go back, because what I want to make sure is that everybody understands here that the key to what I've just taken you through, and that is that if you are, in fact, an inside sales manager and you have managed people and you have managed a pipeline and you've managed databases and CRMs and you've been that person, then in this case, and I don't know if Rose is or not, but the point is that if that was Rose, then she missed a golden opportunity to talk to a lot of recruiters, because she's been pretty focused on not giving too much information about other than being an inside sales specialist. She might be a good fit for this company as being an employee, but probably not the manager that I'm looking for. I'm going to stop there, Jeff. There've got to be some questions.
No, not yet. Everybody's enthralled with just seeing the package.
Got it? Okay. Well, we're just going to keep powering through. So as I go back here again, now I can look at one by one, or I can go back and I can look at the landscape, but the same is the same. And again, in this particular case, as I said before, I'm looking for an inside sales manager. I'm looking for somebody that's got those key words. Where Patrick is, in another example, he is open to work. He hasn't given me his contact information, okay? A lot of room there where he could expand on what he's done and add key words that would make it his background maybe more attractive to more recruiters, okay? Again, now, guys, this is where I hope this isn't your brother, but one thing some recruiters, depending on the organization, this company I'm working for, one of the first things they come to me always is, well, the person's had 4 jobs in the last 2 years. Well, I try not to present those kinds of candidates, but maybe there's a reason behind it. But here's an example of, he worked for one company, but it looks like he worked there, that it's not simultaneous. It is simultaneous, but he actually worked for that company for 5 years, not just 3 years. Okay. So how you put your names and the companies that you work for and the roles that you've got is really, really important to recruiters, as they, just as I am, just as quickly scanning through this, looking now at, okay, he probably graduated from university. Well, he's given me the dates. He graduated in 88, okay? So this was his first job was in 1990. And it's not uncommon for people at the beginning of their career with Mitsubishi and JSW to have, more jobs in a quicker period of time because you're moving quickly. But those are some of the things from a career progression that we look for. Again, for this particular role as an inside sales manager, managing inside sales organization, he may be my guy, but he hasn't given me enough information that I want to start a conversation with him, okay? And that's why he's not checked here, okay? So those are some of the things that we look for. And again, we can change it very quickly, because if I'm not finding the right candidates, I can go in and bring in new people, take people out. I can clear everything. I can bring in new names. So moving through this platform is pretty dang easy. And the differentiators are really the differentiators that you as candidates self-select by not giving us enough information, or not painting a good enough picture of who you are and what you really want to try to do.
So a question here, Bonnie asked, what impressions or concerns does a recruiter have for someone who was in management but is no longer in management? Is this a significant concern?
No, I mean, it shouldn't be because so many things change. And that's why we want to try to have a conversation with somebody because, I don't know the particular situation for this, and I'm sorry, who asked that question, Jeff?
Bonnie.
Bonnie?
Yes, Bonnie.
Bonnie. So Bonnie, I don't know the particular circumstances around it, but I can tell you a lot of times where people have, managed a large team or a small team, and then they're self-selected to come out of management and to go work on a special project, or they leave their organization for whatever reason, and they choose or they go do something else, and they're not managing people directly. I think that I don't think it matters at all if you love to manage people. So let's talk about an exercise, Jeff, we haven't really ever talked about on this particular segment, but I think it has something to talk about with Bonnie's question is.
Kurt, can you hold on for just, I want to answer this. David asked a question. I want to make sure I get this in. It says, hi, is this webinar more geared towards recruiters and not job seekers? No, this is designed for job seekers because we want to show you what the recruiting package looks like. Kurt has volunteered to show what he spends thousands of dollars a year on to show you how he finds you. So, you want to listen to his advice on what makes you stand out, contact information, keywords, and everything else. So Kurt, sorry about jumping in there.
No. David, that's a great question. I'm so glad you got it out of the way quickly. And I'm sorry we didn't answer that earlier for you, but Jeff is absolutely right. This is there. I don't teach recruiters how to recruit. And if it's not my business, I'm here showing you a little bit of a look underneath the blanket as far as what recruiters are looking for when they're searching for you as a candidate. So that's absolutely right. But one of the exercises, Bonnie asked a question about manager versus non-manager today. If you wore one, does it look frowned upon? But one of the exercises, Jeff, and we're going to step outside the boundaries a little bit here, but one of the exercises I highly encourage everybody in this call to do is take a piece of paper, and I want you to divide that paper in fours. So in the top quadrant, you've got 1/4 of the paper. Hopefully it's a big piece of paper. And in the top left quadrant, I want you to make a list of the things that you are good at. And on the right side, right next to it, the things that you're not good at. And on the bottom, the things that you like to do and the things on the right that you don't like to do. Things I'm good at, not good at, like to do, don't like to do. This isn't anything that you will ever share with a spouse or anybody in an interview situation. It is not anything that you will, share in an interview process or anything else. It is really nothing more than an opportunity for you to get to know yourself a little bit better. And it may give you some different language in order to communicate with people. But Bonnie, if you like to manage people and in the last role you didn't, but you really like to manage people and you're good at it and you've always received high marks for it, then that's an accolade that you ought to chase and you ought to go try to find. And so you ought to be, spending a lot of your search and a lot of your energy talking to people and organizations that have opportunities for you to manage a team or manage an organization in whatever capacity that might be, finance, marketing, sales. Hang on, guys. I'm sorry. My wife needs keys. I don't know where the keys are at. There you go.
That's fine. Well, Kurt, while you're doing that, I'm going to just go point out a couple of things you have on the screen. I want everybody to look at on the screen right here is that if you look here under David's information, he actually lists his contact information. This is when you put the information in the contact field. So he's made it extremely simple for Kurt to be able to find you. If you look up just higher here, this person up here has not listed any contact information. Now, it may be in your about section, but I would encourage everybody to make sure that you put in your contact information, make sure that it's public so everybody can see you if you're looking for a job, and be sure to look be sure to also have it in your about section, because Kurt says he's just going to pick the phone up and he wants to call you right away.
Okay. So all that is absolutely spot on. And those are, that's great advice. I mean, I can't overemphasize that as being a differentiator. It's, again, as I look at hundreds of candidates every day, every week, the candidates that give me the ability to communicate with them directly and get out of LinkedIn, because when you send an in-mail, I have the same in-mail. My LinkedIn, my LinkedIn in-mail is the same. I have an inbox where I appear, where I can see where people have, communicated back to me and so forth. So it looks a lot like yours does. But every one of these people that I've been in communication with and that I'm talking to, first thing I do is try to get out of LinkedIn and get into my email and get to a place where we are, where we can get away from LinkedIn and have a conversation, a phone call, or an email exchange, and I can get a resume and get off of that platform. So that expedites the process, and it's a huge differentiator. Huge differentiator.
Jim asked, does it carry any value to note on your LinkedIn profile or on your resume that you're fully vaccinated?
No, I don't think so. Gosh, I'm a storyteller, Jeff. I'm working on a search in Dallas for a very senior executive, and as it turns out, the candidate that they've selected to be one of their finalists is living in Luxembourg, and I've been over to their office and I'm fully vaccinated. They asked me that question before other candidates have gone in, but this executive's coming from a foreign country, and they're still meeting with him face to face, and he has not been vaccinated. I think it's important, but I don't think it's something that you need to put out on the internet.
Yeah, Fred said, I put fully vaccinated in the certificate section, just for certificates and licenses.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a good point, but that hasn't come up, but it certainly could. When you get ready to go to interviews, it's going to be a question that people ask, depending on what the company's flavor for interviewing and face-to-face meetings are and so forth.
So Michael asked, how does it look for recruiters that don't pay for this package when they're searching? Well, they're using what you and I would see if we were to search for somebody, right?
That's correct. So if you went into your regular LinkedIn and you were searching for people, that's what you would get to see. You have limited visibility into the network. You have limited numbers of in-mails that you can send. People can see that you're looking at their backgrounds. You've got, you just have you don't have the tools that you've got for the recruiter product, the messaging piece of it, and the building scripts and tracking people and putting them in projects. It's, to some degree, it's a mini applicant tracking system. It might be considered that by some recruiters.
And you have full view to 750 million people, where right. Somebody who didn't have a recruiting package would only see their connections.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Now, at the same time, that does not mean or suggest that any candidate should ever go out there and buy or become use the recruiter package. That would not help you as a candidate. I think the things that we want to reinforce with everybody on the phone that is a candidate, it's those key words. It's making sure, I stress to candidates that they look at job briefs that they get from jobs that they've applied for, or companies that they'd like to work for, and look at those briefs and highlight the words in that brief that describe you as an executive. That's one place to go look for other keywords. And it's a great place, because if they're in one brief and you're looking to be a the controller of an organization, chances are those are going to be keywords that you find in a lot of different job briefs. And so that the recruiter that's searching for that job to fill that job is going to be looking for a lot of those keywords. So make sure that those words are highlighted and speckled throughout your LinkedIn profile. You could see when I was doing the searches earlier, and I'll go back to hang on a second. And we go back to that search that I just completed earlier. As we search for different people, and if I were to put in let's put in keywords. Let's say, and I do a Boolean search that says inside, and the number will even go down more now, and manager. I may not get any when I do that because I didn't have that many in this pool to begin with. 61 results. So as I go to this now and go enter, let's see, hold on, make sure that's stuck. Sometimes back here. See, now I don't have anybody. Okay. So if I'm too specific, but if I were to just put in a keyword, let's take out all that nonsense that I put in there. And let's say that I just put it inside. What I'm trying to get at here is that 59 of the 61 have inside. So if I look at James as an example, you can see in his profile where inside is highlighted for me as a recruiter. So I go through there and I go, well, he only has a little bit of inside sales. He's not really been an inside sales manager. And he's really, if I look down, I think, okay, well, maybe he hasn't been a manager. Bonnie asked the question earlier. Maybe he hasn't been an inside sales manager, but he's been a sales manager here. I might want to have a conversation with him to talk about, well, how many people did you manage in this role? What was your annual revenue? What were some of the coaching experiences that you can provide me? And what I might find out was, well, I was a sales manager, but I really didn't manage anybody. I was the only person in that team on that team, but my title was sales manager. So, again, I'm not making some of this stuff up. I'm thinking as a recruiter and presenting it as I would as looking for somebody on this call right now for a different role.
Kurt, Michael asked, with LinkedIn recruiter software, are you able to exclude candidates based on their age?
Well, great question. I don't know that you can do it by age, but I can get close when I go to years of graduation. So I can go in here and I can say that these are the people that graduated in 1971. So I can do the math and say, okay, if they graduated from college in 71 and they were 21 years old there, help me with the math right now.
Well, that takes them back to born in 1950. So that means they'd be 77 years old.
Yeah. So
76.
76, 77 years old. Okay. So probably, again, I wouldn't necessarily exclude somebody. I may exclude people here at the top end because they're too young. They just in 2021, they haven't had any experience as a sales manager even if they've been in school. Now they could just have graduated and they
maybe got their MBA or something.
They got their MBA or something. So you have to be careful how you use this. I very, very seldom use this unless the company has said to me, that they want somebody that has no more than 20 years of experience. And even then, as a recruiter, it's my job to keep the blinders off. And I don't always go by what they say. That's why they've hired me to do that work. And if I find somebody that I think is a good fit for their organization and they've got 24 years of experience, and why wouldn't I bring them to the table? So yeah, we can, but it's questionable because you might have worked for 20 years and then got your degree. And if I put those factors in there, you might not show up and you really should have.
Right. Well, let's see, Patricia said a lot of people leave college graduation dates off because of ageism. Is it hurting to leave it off?
You know, I always tell people that we're going to figure out how old you are regardless, whether you like it or not. And if you're worried about your age, you shouldn't be. If you've got energy, you want to work, you're dedicated, you want to be a part of a team, you want to be a part of an organization, then let that passion speak for itself. And there is going to be some age discrimination out there, but tell you what, and I'm not mocking anybody that's in the restaurant or that business, but I'll tell you what, there isn't a restaurant in the world that isn't looking for the jobs that we had when we were young, to be waiters and cooks and chefs, or not even chefs, to be dishwashers, those kinds of things. Restaurants can't find those people. I don't know where they've gone. They've left the industry, they've gotten trained, they've moved on, they've gone into different businesses. Some cases they may be getting paid more just to stay at home. But bottom line is that if you want to work, I don't care how old you are, there's somebody out there, there's companies out there that want you and want you to be a part of the team, and don't take yourself out of that mental game right away.
Michael wants to know, what advice do you have for those of us who are more experienced professional? What's the best way to deal with age?
Well, again, you can't hide it. I wish you could. You can't hide it, and there's nothing you want to do to hide it. You bring a lot of experience to the table, and so I think you want to make the best of it. Some people leave jobs off, so they quit. On LinkedIn, they may only go through, 1995 or something like that. But again, if I'm a recruiter and I'm so concerned about somebody's age, then there's a lot of other ways for me to figure it out. And that may be that, you look too old in your picture, or there's 100 different things. So don't stay away from the age stuff. It's not, I don't hear it talked about. I do a lot of recruiting, and I can't tell you the last time, if any, that a company has said to me that they only want somebody that's less than 36 years old.
Okay.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah. So one of the things you've talked about is that, we've looked at a few profiles here of people, and quite frankly, most of these people didn't really have a full-blown, they really haven't put results underneath their company name. They haven't put a lot of keywords in there. I mean, is that what stands out? Is that what makes a difference for you?
Oh, well, no, it doesn't make a difference. It just tells me, it gives me a lot of information. I mean, here's a guy that may be exactly what I'm looking for, but John hasn't given me enough information about what he's done and whether he's somebody that I should talk to. He's been with one company for 12 years. And so maybe he is somebody that I should talk to about that role, because he's ready to be a manager. Okay. But his profile is so short, and it gives me so little information about what he does. There's more information on his skills and endorsements than there is in his whole profile. So that doesn't make John a bad guy. I haven't filled this job, and I've been working on it for a couple of weeks now. So I'm looking for new candidates. As I go back, John is somebody I probably ought to add to my network and to reach out to, say, maybe he's not interested, but maybe he had a manager that left 2 months ago that's looking again, that was a great manager. So it just depends on the tolerance, the time, the number of candidates that a recruiter's getting, and how much they lean on and use LinkedIn. There's if I relied on LinkedIn 100% to do every search, then I'd be missing out on a whole slew of other great candidates. I just completed a search for a very senior role in San Antonio. And I used LinkedIn, but I also reached out to all of the bank presidents in San Antonio in the market to talk to them about who are great executives that you know in the community, that maybe you know somebody that's left their recent role that could be fill this position. I reached out to the Chamber of Commerce, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, the directory, the woman that was in charge of directory and corporate sponsors. So I reached out to a plethora of different contacts within that community. Certainly I used LinkedIn, but I used a lot of other tools to try to make sure that I was raking the field and finding and talking to as many great people as I possibly could, that I hadn't left any stone unturned. I would have never found this candidate that's coming in from Luxembourg for this company if I would never have found him on LinkedIn, because I wasn't conducting an international search. So the fact that I found this guy through somebody in my network that said you ought to talk to this person, and then I learned very quickly that he was actively trying to get back to the United States, his kids were of age, and that he was within the price range of what we were looking for this particular role. All the pieces started to come together, but I would have never found him on LinkedIn. So my point is I can't rely 100% on LinkedIn. There's a lot of other tools that you have to use. But to the point of this call, if you've got a LinkedIn profile up there and you're actively looking for a job, make sure you're presenting the best possible case you possibly can. And now you've got a few more tools and suggestions that you didn't have maybe before that'll help you beef up that profile and make yourself more attractive, more searchable, or somebody that a recruiter wants to have a conversation with that might have gotten overlooked in the past.
All right. Well, Tom on Facebook asked, he has a couple of things. Where in my profile do I add the information Kurt's looking for? And where are the best places on my profile to add the information that you're speaking about?
Yep, it's all in your summary section. So let's go back to one of these candidates I looked at before. Can't remember who it was, but well, we can see here real quick. Just a second. Let me find one for you, and you'll see exactly. It's going to pop up here in a minute. Here's one. Let's look at David. Okay, so he's given me his contact information up here, right at the top. Okay, very visible for everybody. And in his summary, he doesn't have anything in his summary. But this is where you would normally put it, is in the summary section. He's not taken advantage of that section to write about himself like many other candidates do. That was not a very robust summary section. Let's see if Elizabeth isn't either. These people are missing out on, a great opportunity to, again, not a lot of back information in their summary. And I think the summary, if I'm not mistaken, is, like 800 words.
Oh, it's up to 2,000 now. Yeah, 2,000 characters, 2,200 characters, I believe.
Okay, 2,200 characters. So in the summary section is where you would list my contact information, email address, and phone number.
Right. Okay. Well, Kurt, what's the number one thing you want job seekers to know?
Well, I want you to keep the blinders off and try not to think too much about how recruiters are going to find you, but to make sure that you're just got the most robust LinkedIn profile out there and that you're taking advantage of all the tools that they enable you by. David has got this, I call it a wreath that says that he's open to work. I suggest that. I suggest if you don't like that you click the button that says you're open to work, even though you don't have the wreath on it. I encourage you to put your contact information, and I encourage you to reply to every message that everybody sends you in LinkedIn, even if it's not something that you're interested in.
Well, Kurt, thank you very, very much. Great information. It's always so fascinating to look at this recruiting package and look at other people's, because we're essentially looking at other people's profiles. And hopefully everybody here has picked up on that most of these people who are in sales are not doing a very good job selling themselves, because they haven't told you, they're looking for work, but yet they haven't filled anything out. So it's real important to get your profile up to snuff here and get it out there for everybody. Well, Kurt, thank you very much. Next week, Terry Sullivan will be with us. He'll talk about how to tell your key contacts who you are, what you do, and how you help. So this will be a great session on how to fill out your profile and what you need to have and things you need to think about. Please note this session will not be recorded next week, so you will have to watch it live. Terry does not allow his presentations to be recorded. All right, I need everybody to please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. Very, very, very important. If you can reach out to Kurt or reach out to me every day, I get people who want to connect with me, and there's no note. I don't know why we should connect. And I look at, if I'm in a mood, I may look at your profile, but, make it easy. Tell somebody you saw them here today on LinkedIn Tuesdays, or you're connecting with somebody. It's just very, very, very important. All right, Jason, you think I'm laughing here. All right, laughing out loud because of doing this. But I think this is really, really important. One of Jeff's top 10 pet peeves. All right, Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 5 days a week. Grab your lunch and learn with us every day. Tomorrow, for Interviewing Wednesdays, we'll be doing session number 2 of 13, how to prepare for a specific interview and networking part 1. On Thursday, we have a special guest speaker, Tony Bashera, who owns Babbage and Associates. He's been hiring people for 30, 40 years now. He's going to share the top 10 big mistakes of resume writing. So Tony's quite a character, so please join us this Thursday at 1 o'clock. This Friday morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, we'll have another recruiter on with us, Rick Martinez, who is a technical recruiter at R2 Technologies. He's going to talk about why your next job should be a contract role. So just something to think about then. The Women of Wonder don't meet this week because Women of Wisdom don't meet this week. They meet the first and third Fridays of the month. So they'll be not this week, but the following week. And then next Monday, remote networking. Our speaker is Stephanie Michelle. She's written a book on the confident introvert. So it should be an interesting presentation about networking, how to do remote networking. Please, if you'd like to join the Career USA or the Career DFW LinkedIn groups, we have over 13,000 people who are part of the Career DFW LinkedIn group. You're welcome to join one, join both. It's a great opportunity to expand your connections. This session has been recorded, as most of our sessions are. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page. And in a couple hours, I'll have it uploaded to the Career USA YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. On the YouTube channel, it looks something like this. It is the Career USA YouTube channel. Be sure to click on playlist, and then you'll see the different playlists that I've put together: effective resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, networking, North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. And then click at the very bottom. Don't click on the video, but click where it says View Full Playlist, where that red arrow is. And up will come a list of all the different topics and the dates, the last dates that we've talked about in that particular playlist. And that way you can see the most current one. And like I said, this one will be up on YouTube in a couple hours. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, you're welcome to do so. Please just send an email to Career USA, the +subscribe at groups.io. And we'll get you signed up. You will not be spammed. I only put out 6 or 7 emails a week, and you'll have the daily topic that we're talking about along with the Zoom link. So you'll be able to click right in to our meetings every day. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Kurt's a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. We have no full or part-time employees. Everything we do is strictly on a volunteer basis. We survive on donations. It pays for Zoom. It pays for the web names. It pays for the web hosting, anything I can't get donated. So please consider making a donation when you can get your next job so that we can continue to do what we do. So thank you very much for joining us today. Kurt, thank you very much once again. And for everybody out there, let a friend of yours know. If you know somebody who's unemployed, let them know about the free training we're putting on every day.